A lot of guys on self-improvement need to realize or just be reminded of how quick it can be to build momentum. The difficult part is that while you're in it, you just need to not panic. I mean, think about it for a second. If you could go 2 weeks being perfect on your habits, or not even being perfect, like if you're hitting it at like 90% accuracy, you're doing most of the important habits consistently for 2 weeks, how much more likely would you be to stay consistent after that? How much more confident would you be in your ability to stay consistent after that? But you can't. For 2 weeks, bro, like, come on. Let me put it this way. When you're on your deathbed, or when you're just looking back after a long life lived, of just underwhelming, a very underwhelming life, you're going to know that the reason you weren't able to do that was because you couldn't get it together for just 2 weeks. And I don't know about you, but that would break me, right? The reason I couldn't retire my parents early so they could go and enjoy the rest of their lives, was because I couldn't get it together for 2 weeks, right? The reason I couldn't live the life I truly wanted to live, with like traveling around the world with like my boys, having my family, giving my family like full like financial freedom to just go live like just a life well lived. I missed out on all of that because I couldn't get it together for 2 weeks. Yeah, that would break me. And if you're the same, and I believe you would be the same if you're watching this video, right? You need to fix that, right? Now, of course, that is cool, like motivational and like logical talk, but now let's get into like the practicality of it. How do you actually get yourself to be consistent for those 2 weeks and then go on further, right? Because obviously, if we're being realistic, it's not just 2 weeks, but like 2 weeks to build that momentum. Once you start building the momentum, it's so much easier. If you've been going to the gym consistently for 2 weeks, best believe it's going to be easier to go to the gym the third week than it was, the first week. And if you keep building on that, and I think that's what a lot of success is that building that momentum, which I think is the most difficult part for most people on self-improvement, is just building that momentum, right? But once you do build that momentum, it's all about staying consistent, stoking the fire. You carry on stoking the fire, right? Imagine like you're at a camp, right, or whatever, and you have a campfire, right? The hard work at the start is just starting the fire, right? Just getting it going. After that, it is still hard work. You still need to keep finding wood to keep feeding the fire. You need to keep reminding yourself to feed the fire and like blow and whatever. But like really, in comparison, like starting the fire itself was a lot more difficult than just adding on more bricks. No, not more bricks. Please don't add bricks to your fire. That's not gonna work. But more like wood blocks and stuff, like more wood to the fire. And it's a similar thing with self-improvement, right? Obviously, over a long period of time, if you're thinking about the fire, if let's say you want to keep a fire going for like 2 weeks or whatever it is, or you want to keep going for like a month, most of the work you're going to be doing over that month, if you do it right, is going to be you putting in more wood, right? And again, that is the most difficult work. Again, I'm trying to make a parallel here to working hard and achieving things in life, right? Most of the work you're going to spend doing and where most of your progress is going to come from is from you like stoking the fire, being consistent, carrying on, right? But at the start, where a lot of people just get cut off, is that starting the fire part, right? The first 2 weeks, where you build that momentum, right? And that's what I'm getting at here, is that like you need to build that momentum. And once you have that momentum, it's very, very, very important, right, to run with it. Because the amount of work you take to put in those 2 weeks are hard, guys. They're really difficult. That's why obviously a lot of people have not gotten through those 2 weeks where you build momentum and then you start building on it, right? They're difficult. Well, again, as I said with the fire thing, once you start doing that, after that, maintaining is a lot easier, like as an action, than it is like starting, right? Going back to the fire, like putting in the wood is so much easier than trying to find the spark and adding all these things and then getting the fire to like carry on so it doesn't die out, right? And then you have a proper fire. That's like physically, like one for one, that's more difficult than maintaining it. But over a long period of time, you're going to spend a lot of time maintaining, right, and building on that, right? And it's a similar thing with self-improvement, right? And I feel like I'm going around in circles here, just explaining the same thing over and over again, but you understand what I'm trying to say, right? So how do we get through those 2 weeks, and furthermore, how do we make sure we keep expanding on that? And again, another thing I wanted to say is that if you let that like fire die out and you have to do it again, not only is it still as difficult as it was the first time to start that, but now you have sort of that mentality block of like, oh, I've already done this, I don't really want to do it, right? You look at people that have lost motivation, like getting back on the wagon is so much more difficult than getting on it the first time, because at least when you're getting on it the first time, it's new, right? Like there's all these possibilities and stuff. But the second time, if you've fallen off and you're trying to get back on, it's like, oh, but I've already been on and I fell off, and there's just, yeah, it's more difficult, right? So you don't want to like fall off, especially if you're trying to build momentum, right? You really want to build momentum, you want to stay consistent. But again, I've been beating the same drum for like the last 5 minutes. You understand what I'm trying to say? How do you actually get yourself to do these things, right? And as I've said multiple times before, you need to change your mentality, more specifically your self-image, right? And I'm going to talk about a book I've been speaking about all year, and I will be speaking about it until I die. Maybe not until I die, but I'll be speaking about it for a while because I think it's the ultimate self-improvement book. But it's psycho-cybernetics, right? So maybe I should take it a step back, right? Because for me, it's always felt like natural. It just feels like the correct like answer, right? If you want to change your life, you need to change your self-image, your identity, the way you see yourself, right? And that's been clear to me. It became clear to me last year. Like I was really struggling with like motivation and stuff because you're studying. I've been studying for so long, and I was just tired of it. So I was just searching everywhere I could for like renewing my mind for mentality change, right? And I settled on the fact that it definitely is an identity thing, right? Because I was reminded of something Hamza said in one of his videos a while back, and I think he's mentioned it again like on one of his earlier videos from like this year. He used the analogy of like swimming upstream versus swimming downstream, and he was saying that like when you first start like doing the good habits, feels like you're swimming upstream, you're swimming against the current, right? But you want to get to a point where you're swimming downstream, right? Where it feels like you're swimming downstream, where the good habits are they're easier to do, and it feels like the current is working with you, right? Your brain in this analogy is the current, right? It feels like your brain is working with you, right? The alarm goes off in the morning, you're not fighting with your brain to be like, no, but let me stay in bed and like sleep longer. Why do I have to go to the gym? It's so cold. Like I don't want to do this or whatever. Versus, the alarm goes off and it's like, oh, like we're going because this is who we are. Like we go to the gym. There's no debate, nothing. It's just you wake up and you go. Simple as that, right? Like that's a whole different experience. And again, it goes back to like when people speak about like willpower. And again, that's why when it comes to like willpower and discipline and things like that, I've completely like scrapped those now. Like it's still good to like when you're having like tough times, just remind yourself like I'm a disciplined person and stuff. But that's more about the type of person you are rather than you having the willpower to make yourself disciplined. Because willpower, I know there have been lots of discussions of like how the scientists have basically said, oh, willpower runs out, and then you have people like David Goggins and like Jocko Willink who say you can train willpower and all of that. I'm like, bro, scrap all of that. That does not matter. Guaranteed, the people you look up to, the people who have achieved massive things in life, you can list whatever you want, right? Even if it's just like some athletes like Ronaldo or whatever it is, right? Or you're looking at like an influencer like Iman Gadzi or whatever it is, right? Guaranteed, they're not waking up in the morning thinking about flipping willpower. They're not using the damn willpower, bro. Like they wake up and it's like, I'm the type of person who does this. I need to achieve this. I need to do this to achieve that. I'm doing it. There's no arguments about that. Mentality is rock solid, right? Guaranteed they're not wasting time. And I think that's one thing I just want to beat into your head. If I'm going to beat one thing into your head, if I'm going to make, and I've been making practically at this point every week I'm speaking about this book and it's the same thing, right? But if I'm going to beat something into your head this year, if you really want to change your life, forget all this other crap like willpower or which routine should I do, whatever. Although I have used like routines are very useful. I've used those as like a way to like say, how do you get from where you are now, where you've got like no purpose, to like, where you want to be, right? Obviously you need a routine for that, but honestly, scrap everything right now. Don't worry about anything else. The most important thing you need to do is to change your self-image, right? Don't worry about willpower, don't worry about all that crap. You're wasting your time with that, right? Change from the core, because again, like I said, you don't want to be swimming upstream, because this is a long life, right? It's a long life, it's a long journey. It's a very long journey. And I want you to imagine, like, again, the stream. Swimming upstream is a losing battle. You're going to get tired eventually. You're going to get tired and you're going to get washed back. And I'm sure you felt that, right? And it says that in psycho-cybernetics about the snapback effect, right? Where it's like, you decide, okay, cool, I really want to change my life or whatever, but you haven't changed your mentality. You're just like, I want to change my life, right? But your mentality is still like the mentality of someone who you are today, right? You might go a couple of days, like building momentum, whatever it is, right? But then you snap back to reality very, very quickly, right? Because your brain will always bring you back to who it believes you truly are. And this is your subconscious brain, right? So going back to the analogy, even if you do manage, say you do manage like to get like you manage to pull together a really good 2 or 3 years, and you get like you hit the right, like say you've made a YouTube channel, right? Like say you made a YouTube channel like Hamza, say that, right? But again, you wouldn't be able to do that without like changing your self-image. But let's say you managed purely off of willpower, you haven't changed your self-image or whatever it is. Let's say you do manage to swim up that stream, right? When you get to the end, bro, you're just gonna be so flipping tired. You're not even gonna be able to enjoy it. Like in turn, like it's just different. But again, the bottom line is you're not getting there. You're just not getting there. Like as I'm sure you've witnessed because of the snapback effect. You're gonna get tired, and that current's gonna pull you back, right? So you want to change to swimming, feeling like you're swimming downstream. The stream is working with you. When that's happening, it's so much easier. Not only is it so much easier, right, but like you can have fun with it, right? Like imagine if you're swimming downstream and like everything's fine. Like you can even like have fun with it, mess around, whatever it is, because it's chilled. You enjoy it more, and when you get to the end, it's fulfilling. You know, you look back and like, oh, what a nice journey, right? When you're swimming upstream, that's not going to be the same. Yeah, you first, like as I said, you're not going to make it up there. But again, I've beaten that one down. Please, you have to change your self-image. That's a non-negotiable. If you really want to make lasting change in your life, you have to change your self-image. So how do you change your self-image, right? And I've spoken about this countless times, as I've said, but I'm going to keep speaking about it, right? It's in psycho-cybernetics, you have to do it through visualizations, basically, as a bottom line answer. Now, if you're someone like me, and like when you're like visualizations, meditation, journaling, I remember like I 2 years ago, I wouldn't have done this like at all, or 3 years ago. I remember I needed a reason to get into journaling. I needed a reason to get into meditating. And same thing with visualizations. Like it just looks like wishy-washy, law of attraction, like pointless stuff for me. Like I need a concrete reason to do it. And visualization, I'm going to give you a concrete reason to do it, right? Your brain, we spoke about the current, right? That current is your subconscious brain. 95% of like what we do is dictated by our subconscious brain, right? Like when you eat, or you know, when you walk around, whatever it is, you're not most of the time you're not fully thinking about like everything. Like right now I'm speaking, right, but I'm also standing, I'm also staring at the camera, my arms are also moving, like I'm doing multiple things, right? And your brain, it's meant to be the most efficient machine it can be, because you can't focus on everything at the same time. If I had to speak to you right now, but I'm focusing on like keeping my balance, think about that. I'm focusing on keeping my balance. I'm focusing on like making sure my head stays straight, like looking at the camera, and I'm trying to think about what I'm saying. And as I'm thinking about what I'm saying, I'm trying to make sure that I'm saying it correctly, right? That's not going to be an effective. It's not going to work, right? I'm gonna fall eventually. Right, so your brain is an effective machine. So that's why like 95% of what we do is subconscious, right? And your subconscious brain is like your emotional brain. That's the difference between your subconscious brain and your conscious brain. Is like before you go to sleep the night before, you're like, okay, my conscious brain is telling me, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to the gym. Then turn around, you know, it's 4:30, it's 5, whatever time you're waking up. You're supposed to wake up early, right? You wake up and you're so tired, like you're so tired, it's cold, like you're very warm in your blanket and stuff. And you stay in bed, right? You just say, oh, I'm just gonna stay in bed, like I'm not gonna do it today. That's your subconscious brain, and your subconscious brain is powerful because that thing has evolved over thousands of years, right, to get us to where we are today. So you're not fighting with it. Like I said with the current, you're not fighting with the current, right? So the aim should be to change your subconscious brain, because your subconscious brain is your image, right? That's that snapback effect I was speaking about. That's your subconscious brain pulling you back to where it believes you are. When the time comes in the morning, your subconscious brain believes you to be somebody that's not going to wake up early and go to the gym, because why would you do that, right? So it just keeps you in bed, right? Or you're going to have to fight really, really difficult again, really, really hard against it. And as I said about the willpower thing, it's a losing battle, right? Or you think about like if you're on a diet and you're trying to eat clean, right? And then you see the cookies like at 4 p.m. or whatever. 4 p.m. is usually the time you have like snacks, like you raid the cupboard or whatever. It's like, yeah, you've done pretty well during the day to like keep yourself controlled. 4 p.m. comes, your subconscious brain knows 4 p.m. is when we go ham. It sees those cookies and you can't stop yourself. You just end up eating them, because again, you can't fight against it. But there is good news, right? There's hope. You can change your subconscious brain, and you change your subconscious brain through visualizations. Now, how does that work, right? The way it works is that your subconscious brain cannot tell the difference between a lived experience and an imagined experience, right? I want to give you like a case study that they've done, and as I've said, if you're someone who watches my videos regularly, I've gone over this over and over and over again, but it's that I'm trying to beat it into you people, right? Like, it's very important, right? So there was this study about basketball, right? So they got in like two groups of newbies. There was obviously like a third group, like a control group or whatever. But mainly this is about like the two groups. So there was one group where, so both of them have never touched like a basketball in their life, like they have no experience. One group practiced every single day for 20 minutes shooting a basketball into the net, right? And then the other group didn't touch a basketball, but they visualized shooting and scoring the basketball for 20 minutes every single day for like a week. Then they put them up against each other, and the group that visualized, the group that did not touch a single ball, right, outperformed the group that was practicing every single day, right? Because that's how powerful visualizations are. Your brain can't tell the difference. It really cannot, right? So just like, that's something that's important to understand. So again, when people say like your thoughts and your beliefs really truly shape who you are and they shape your actions, that's what they mean, right? And we can take advantage of that through visualizations. Now, with the visualizations, I'm just going to give you a brief description of what you should be doing. Basically, for 30 minutes every single day for 21 days, right? We spoke about this video is about how your life can change in 2 weeks. Obviously, once you do the first 2 weeks, like the last week is just a push, and then you want to just keep doing it to maintain self-image, as I said. But with visualizations, what you need to be doing is that for 30 minutes, as I said, 30 minutes every day, you're building a mental movie, right? A mental movie of what would the ideal version of you be doing, right? And this can be in any capacity. But ideally, like for me, when I first started, it was literally just my routine, because I knew the routine I was supposed to be doing. I just needed to get myself to do it. So I just picture myself like, okay, from start to finish, from the moment my alarm goes off in the morning, and it needs to be very vivid, right? You need to hear that alarm. You need to feel those feelings that you might be feeling, and you'd be like, ideal version of me would just get out of bed right now, right? You get out of bed, you feel the cold come, and you're like stepping on the floor, you're putting on your shoes or whatever, and you're going and you're switching on the light, and it's very, very vivid, because if it's very vivid, that's when your brain can't tell the difference. So you do that, you do those things every day for 21 days, right? Then you're golden, right? Like you'll get pretty far. Your self-image will start changing, and trust me, you just need to do it. Because I remember when I was first doing it, I was trying to do like both ways. Like, I'm doing my visualizations, and then when I like wake up, I want to go and like, I'm trying to do like the good habits. Like, I'm trying to force myself, but honestly, I wasn't doing the good habits at the time. Like, it was just very difficult for me. So I was just like, I would do my visualizations, then I'd go and I'd eat like junk food or whatever, right? But it was fine, because like you keep doing that for 21 days, you literally just notice a change, a quick change, very instant. Well, it's not instant, sorry. It's not instant, but it's like, yeah, you start noticing over that end period that like, oh yeah, your brain is pushing you towards like, it just doesn't want to like, it's just pushing you towards what you want to be doing, what you're visualizing. It's like, oh, I'm the type of person who does this. And you can use those visualizations for anything, and you should use them for everything, right? Because I mentioned like your athletes earlier. Like, I've heard of like stories of many like top level athletes who speak about how they visualize themselves scoring like a hat-trick the next day. They go and they score a hat-trick. I think that was Erling Haaland, right? Ronaldo's done like something similar. Like, they visualize. It's a self-image thing. Self-image is very, very important. You need to protect this, right? And especially your self-image. They visualize, and they make sure, like, I visualize, I'm going to score tomorrow, I'm going to score tomorrow, I'm going to score tomorrow. They always do that, and then they score tomorrow, right? Because that's just how it works, right? Because they truly believe that about themselves. So their brain like just makes your body just work with you, right? And yeah, that's the crux of the video. You want to make sure you're doing this again if you can do this for 2 weeks, then the rest is much easier, right? And another aspect you can use, bro, visualizations are a cheat code. You also want to use them. I know in the book it says you want to use them for like negative not reinforcement, negative situations, right? You want to picture yourself, it's cool like picturing yourself like not eating the cookies, like eating clean, but you also want to visualize those moments when you are having cravings. You want to picture yourself, 4 p.m. comes, I am craving those cookies, and I see them in the cupboard, right? And you picture yourself, you're like, in that moment, what would ideal version of me do? Ideal version of me would remind myself that I don't do this. I don't eat cookies. They're bad for me. They're gonna mess up my they're gonna give me like brain fog. Like, sugar is just bad for me. I'm gonna get pimples and all this. Like, ideal version of me just wouldn't touch them, because I have no interest in them. And you keep visualizing that, like you're reinforcing it. And then when the time comes, when those cravings come, right? Or the cravings won't even come. But when they do, you're kind of just like, yeah, I don't know, I don't do it, I don't do that. Like you'll notice you won't get the cravings. You can use it for that. You can use it for social situations. So every time before like you go to like some kind of social event, just spend like 5 minutes before just visualizing yourself being like social, being like whatever it is. If you want to learn like how to cold approach girls or whatever it is, picture yourself like doing that and having like no problem with it. But yeah, I can beat this drum forever. But psycho-cybernetics, boys, make damn sure that you do that. If you could just do anything for 2 weeks, right? I spoke about how 2 weeks can change your life. If you just do anything for 2 weeks, it has to be a month though. No, not a month. It has to be 21 days. But yeah, 3 weeks. But if you can just focus on the next 2 weeks, just make sure you're doing your visualizations, right? Do visualizations, 30-minute visualizations every day for 21 days. Just do that. It will change your life. But yeah, you guys make sure you let me know what you think of the topic in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to join the Self-Improvement Brotherhood. And until next time, I'll see you boys.